Anthony Joshua was absolutely destroyed by Andy Ruiz. He was humiliated and he was exposed in front of millions of people. Anthony Joshua will never be viewed in the same light after this Ruiz fight as he was before it. He will never have the same kind of support that he had before this loss. So we're really going to see what Anthony Joshua is all about in terms of his character. He showed tremendous character to even get to where he is now. But this is the biggest test he's ever faced in his professional boxing career. Can he bounce back? But first of all, where did it go wrong against Andy Ruiz? Well, he was beaten by the better man on the night. That everybody has to admit right off the bat. Andy Ruiz was the better fighter in there. Like, he fought a better fight. AJ had certain tools. He didn't use them effectively. He got drawn into Andy Ruiz's kind of fight, and he got the crap beat out of him as a result. Could he have done things different? Yes, he could. But why didn't he? Why did he feel compelled to go in there and start exchanging with Andy Ruiz when Andy Ruiz wasn't, ready to get knocked out? Yeah, he got dropped by the left hook, but look at your opponent. He wasn't out of there. Why did AJ go flying in recklessly? And when he got dropped in that third round twice, he didn't learn his lesson, because later on in the fight, he tried to do the same thing. Now, maybe he felt he was running out of stamina and he felt like, you know what? I cannot outbox this guy because I'm too tired. I just got to go in and try and knock him out, or he's going to knock me out. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was something else. I feel as though when AJ dropped Ruiz in that third round, he just wanted to get the fight over and done with as quick as possible because he felt anxious. I posted in my Facebook boxing group, I think it was during the Callum Smith fight, they showed AJ in the dressing room, and I posted in there, I said, AJ looks nervous. Then, when AJ was walking to the ring, I posted again and said, AJ looks very nervous. And there were other people who noticed it in my Facebook boxing group. They were saying, yeah, AJ looks very, very nervous. He looks very tense. And he was in the ring in the corner looking extremely tense. And, when AJ was first supposed to fight Jarrell Miller, I spoke about him being in the new environment and how that would affect him, because he's never been in the United States, different time zone, different crowd, different people, so on and so forth, different commission. How is he going to cope with that mentally? And with Jarrell Miller in the other corner, I actually felt that AJ might struggle because he had a very hostile individual. But when the opponent got switched to Andy Ruiz, obviously I knew Andy Ruiz was better than Jarrell Miller in, certain aspects. But I felt like AJ would be more comfortable in there against Ruiz from a mental point of view, because he didn't have a hostile guy in front of him, and that he'd be more relaxed against Ruiz. Whereas with Miller, I thought he would be more tense and uptight. And against Miller, the occasion might, get to him more than against Ruiz, because Ruiz is this, unassuming, friendly kind of character. But AJ was very tense from the opening bell, and he just wasn't in the right mind frame. And as I say, when he dropped Ruiz in the third, he was far too quick to rush in and try and end the fight as quickly as possible. Maybe he was thinking about Deontay Wilder and the Dominic Brazil fight, and he wanted to do, wanted to have some one-upmanship and get him out of there quicker than Wilder. Well, not quicker than Wilder got Brazil out, but, he wanted to highlight real KO like Wilder had against Dominic Brazil. Maybe that was in his mind. Maybe there was a whole heap of different things in his mind. But I do feel he was just far too anxious. And AJ's been in big fights before. Plenty of big fights. We saw him against Klitschko. We saw him against, Dylan White was a big fight at the time. Alexander Povetkin. Been in plenty of big fights. But these were big fights where he was in his comfort zone to a certain extent, especially after Klitschko. He was in his comfort zone because he was familiar with these stadiums. It's all in the UK. It's matchroom shows. He knows the referee and the judges are going to help him out if he needs the help. So he was in his comfort zone, so that allowed him to be more relaxed in those fights than he was against Andy Ruiz. So yeah, the mental side of his game, at least when he's fighting abroad, they're going to need to look at that. But at the same time, the amount of pressure that Anthony Joshua was dealing with was greater than any other heavyweight in the world. Like, let's be real. In 23 fights, this guy has, unified the heavyweight division. He's had all these massive stadium fights and whatnot in just 23 fights. And he only had about, 40 something amateur fights. So relatively inexperienced to be taking part in such big fights. And having the weight of a nation on your shoulders every time you fight, that's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Maybe Anthony Joshua, and I know this is going to sound weird to some, he might actually feel relieved now that he's lost. He might feel relieved because now he might feel as though there's less pressure on his shoulders. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he actually takes the Andy Ruiz rematch. I've seen some people say he shouldn't take the Ruiz rematch. If he doesn't take it, he's all the way back at the bottom of the pile and he's got to fight his way back up into title contention, because I can't imagine that Al Heyman with Andy Ruiz or Deontay Wilder is going to be quick to give Anthony Joshua a fight because they don't like Eddie Hearn. They've been actively trying to freeze Anthony Joshua out. So I think Anthony Joshua will be under massive pressure, actually from Matchroom, from Sky, and from DAZN to rematch Andy Ruiz. I think he's going to be under massive pressure from then because so much of their business depends on Anthony Joshua. So they're going to be putting massive pressure on him to take that fight, make no mistake about it. But it's up to him to decide what's best for his career and his development. Maybe he needs to go away, have some smaller fights, maybe back at the O2, maybe rematch Dylan White, do some different things. Or maybe he wants to go straight back in there against Andy Ruiz. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. Now, of course, there have been fighters in the past, Lennox Lewis being the obvious example, who suffered devastating knockout losses and bounced back to, go on to become great heavyweights. But there is a difference with Lennox Lewis's losses. Lewis was knocked out with one punch both times. Against Oliver McCall, it was only a 2-round fight, right? So he was knocked out in the second round and that was it. So it's not like he took a sustained beating. Against Hasim Rahman, he was actually winning the Rahman fight. And then he got caught with one shot and knocked out. With Anthony Joshua against Ruiz, yes, Joshua had Ruiz down in the third. But after he got dropped himself, it was a terrible beating that Anthony Joshua actually took. A sustained beating, a humiliation where he was on the floor 4 times. From a psychological point of view, I think that's going to leave a lot more scars on Anthony Joshua's mind than were left on Lennox Lewis's mind following his loss to either Oliver McCall or Hasim Rahman. So it's going to be really tough for Anthony Joshua to be able to rebound from this, rebuild himself psychologically. Now, from a tactical point of view, he was boxing the right fight at first against Andy Ruiz. Okay, sticking and moving, sticking. I felt like he should have thrown a few more jabs against Ruiz. But the second round was a real good round for him. The third round was shaping up like a good round. So he was doing well to be careful. He was boxing like Joseph Parker against Ruiz. That's how you have to box him. You can't go flying in because he got very quick hands. So he was doing well tactically, but then, the tactics went out the window after he dropped Ruiz, tried to finish him, so on and so forth. And I don't want to say his technical deficiencies were exposed as much as mental deficiencies and punch resistance deficiencies. And when I say mental deficiencies, why would you try and attack someone who's got such fast hands, particularly after you've been dropped a couple times already? Why would you go back and make the same mistake over and over again? That doesn't make sense. You're supposed to get on your bike, stay the hell away, get back to your jab, move around, so on and so forth. That's what you're supposed to do. But Anthony Joshua somehow didn't. So that's got to be looked at. Also, it might be time. See, I talked about this a long time ago. I said that I would actually like to see Anthony Joshua with a different trainer than Robert McCracken. And I said that it will take Anthony Joshua to lose before he actually leaves McCracken, because that's what fighters tend to do, you know, rather than change trainer when they really should change trainer to prevent a loss. No, they have to go and actually get beat first before they decide to go and change trainer. So I do think that Anthony Joshua should change trainer. They're talking about a Ruiz rematch late in the year in the UK. Is it going to be enough time psychologically to rebuild from what just happened to him? Should he go into that one with a different trainer if he wants to change trainer? I really think he should change trainer. Not to say that it's going to mean that Anthony Joshua is going to become a perfect fighter if he changes trainer. No. Boxing is all about making the most out of whatever ability you have. It doesn't mean you're going to be a great fighter. It just means you'll take your ability as high as it can possibly go. And I do think that AJ should look at, I've been saying he should look at a new trainer before this. So why would I change my mind now after he's lost? I think he should change trainer. I've been saying it for a long time. So yeah, he's got a lot to think about, a lot of rebuilding to do. And this is going to be a test of his character. Okay, will he go on to be a Lennox Lewis type fighter? Is that how history is going to remember him? Or will he just be a flash in the pan, a guy who came up quick, you know, had a few good wins, got knocked out, and then faded away into obscurity? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What will be the fate of Anthony Joshua? And furthermore, what will be the fate of British heavyweight boxing? Of course, we've still got the Gypsy King. Dylan White's still out there. You got Daniel Dubois coming up. You got Joe Joyce. You still got fighters, you know, good heavyweights in the UK. But AJ losing in such humiliating and devastating fashion, it's definitely going to hurt British boxing. Don't get it twisted. That's going to hurt British boxing. You see, the thing about AJ is not just the fact he was successful, because Tyson Fury's successful. It was the fact that he was so exciting. That is what drew the crowds. That is what, you know, got so many people involved who wouldn't normally watch boxing. He was exciting. You know, women like him and all that kind of stuff. Many of those people are going to just turn their backs on AJ now. That's what's going to happen. And that's going to have a knock-on effect in terms of the success of matchroom shows, in terms of the success of British boxing in general. So it's going to be up to the other heavyweights in the UK to pick up the slack. And I know I'm focusing on heavyweights here, but heavyweights, particularly now, because we're in an era of heavyweights. We're in an era where the heavyweight division is the hottest division. The most talked about division. It's going to be up to the heavyweights, the UK heavyweights, to pick up the slack. And, you know, try and revive British boxing after a devastating blow. Al Heyman is winning right now. Hashtag winning for Uncle Al. Winning. And he's got his foot on Eddie Hearn's neck. As I've said in a different video. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Will AJ just go down as a hype job? Or can he rebuild and, you know, go on to be a fighter who is highly regarded? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And what are your suggestions? If you think this guy can build himself back up again, what are your suggestions in terms of, should he change trainers? Should he just take the Ruiz fight now? Should he not take the immediate rematch with Ruiz? Should he go in a different direction? What should he do? Where should he go? How should he approach it? Or maybe you don't care because you think he's a load of rubbish and never could fight anyway. Drop it all in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.
Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.